Let's get into the program here and talk about how easy it is to grow herbs. Now, we're talking about the legal herbs here. Now, because the state of Wisconsin has not legalized recreational or medicinal marijuana, we're not going to cover that particular aspect of the those plants. We have
those are technically, I mean, they're probably an herb, but they're more like a plant.
Right. We have brought individuals on this program in the past that spoke about the benefits of using those particular items. You can go to our website.
She's a doctor.
Dr. Patel out of Southern California. She's the leading medical marijuana doctor in the United States. You can find that interview on our website and your favorite podcast providing website. Just search the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. And I believe it's cannabis or marijuana, recreation or medicinal marijuana, somewhere in that range. She was on last year. So with growing herbs, many people overlook the herbs simply because it's not like you can have a snack with some basil. You can just, I'm just going to eat some basil. You know, with a tomato, I'll have a tomato or an apple as a snack.
Well, you could have a tomato with some basil as a snack.
And some cheese.
And some cheese, yeah.
And so let's go over how easy it is. Number one, if you've got an independent garden center in your area, and Blue Mel's is ours here in the Milwaukee area, you can get plant starts. That would probably be the instant, here we go, got it going, boom, ready to go. And herbs can grow in all forms and fashions. Containers, raised beds, traditional ground.
And there's some that you might just want to grow in container.
Yes, we will get to those in a minute, though.
But one thing to mention is herbs, if you start them from seed, they can take up to 21 days to germinate.
So if you don't have patience, then the plant starts would be the choice in which I would advise you to go with.
I think we went through this with the rosemary.
Right. And then we took cuttings from that rosemary and I think I've got 9 plants now in various different...
we got rosemary coming up everywhere now.
Yes, and that's a good thing because rosemary is a very phenomenal herb. It has a lot of medicinal benefits based on medicinal benefits based on what research you've found. And it's really good on, like, potatoes.
Chicken.
So if you don't want to get your plant starts, you can find seeds at migardener.com. They have 41 different varieties of herbs in which you can choose from. Basil, there's about over, I think, 15 or 20 different types in the world that I'm aware of. M.I. Gardener has about a dozen or so. Licorice basil, lime basil, lemon basil, Italian basil. And when we talk about licorice basil,
lemon basil,
when we talk about licorice basil, it is exactly the same taste as if you were going to eat a piece of licorice.
Gross.
They've got cinnamon basil, same thing.
Yeah.
So there's something for everybody there.
Basil's a fun one to grow because it once you get it growing, it's quite prolific.
Yes, you do want to cut back a third of the leaf structure after the plant gets to a more of a mature state to keep it from flowering, to keep the production going.
So one advantage here to growing your own herbs, even if you just grow them in containers in your kitchen on like a nice windowsill, you're saving money because herbs are expensive to buy in the store. I'm not talking about the dried herbs. I'm talking about those fresh herbs.
In the little plastic
containers.
An eighth of an ounce for like, what, $3?
I don't even know, but it's expensive. So if you can grow your own herbs, if you use them and you like those fresh herbs, I definitely think about that.
Well, there's thyme, rosemary, sage, dill, parsley, oregano, lemongrass. The only thing I would advise not to grow would be cilantro, simply because it goes to bolt very, very quickly because day length and heat. It's a very, very sensitive plant.
Well, if you want to grow it, go ahead.
Yes, but I'm just advising you.
You can buy it very cheaply, too.
Yeah, I'm advising you that, you can get a whole bundle for, 98 cents or something like that. Very easy to grow. You can start these, again, in containers. And the benefit of growing them in containers is you can bring them in during the winter months and prolong the life of the herbs in which you're growing. You just want a south-facing, or we've grown very successfully in a west-facing window. Or even better yet, you can get a grow light, a garden in a box from Happy Leaf LED. It's a 4-inch LED light that can mount underneath your kitchen cabinet, and you can grow basil in. It's not hydroponic. It's a
passive
hydroponic in mason jars, and you can have herbs year round. Very little. You only have very little maintenance with the garden in a box. You only have to fertilize them once a month. And they grow.
It's pretty foolproof. And
yeah.
It's easy, and it's convenient, and it's compact.
Yeah, that's from happyleafled.com.
So if you grow them in a container, you want to, you can do them outside or inside, but something like mint, you'd want to grow in a container, keep it contained because it can become very invasive.
We've got it in a 3 or 4 gallon container, and within weeks of it sprouting, it was already sending runners over the edge of the container. The mint can be very
if you're
mint
familiar
is very
with,
invasive.
Yes, if you're familiar with Creeping Charlie, it's the same family, so it does this runner weed deal.
So if you do plant mint in your garden, honestly, the only way in which you're going to extract it is either use Biosafe, an organic weed killer, or a glyphosate weed killer to kill it. That's the only way that you're truly going to eradicate it. So keep it in a container. What else do we have here? You don't want to overwater. That's the problem. Many people, not only just herbs, but vegetables in general, they kill their plants with love and too much water.
House plants too. Anything you can easily overwater. So if you're growing herbs, if you're growing anything, you want to make sure you're on a watering schedule. But just because it's your day to water, that doesn't mean it has to be watered, but it's good to be mindful.
And like rosemary actually prefers to go through a wet cycle and then a very, very dry cycle, because then if you overwater or keep the roots too wet, it can develop root rot, which is, if you don't understand what root rot is and it develops to a level too intense, it will kill the plant. And you can lose that rosemary plant very, very quickly because of that. And if you're in a container and you're growing outdoors or in the ground, raised bed, you do want to feed these with a fertilizer, but predominantly a container is going to require a more fertilizer, because
especially the size of it, a lot of times if it's getting rained on, what happens is that a lot of those nutrients get washed out.
Leaches out.
So you can, not really washed out, but leaches out. So you can use something like Dr. Earth. They have a number of fertilizers that you can use to fertilize those herbs. Herbs are not as heavy feeders as like a tomato or a pepper, but they still need to have food.
Benefit to growing herbs, whether anywhere, is they don't require a whole lot of sunlight. 4 hours, partial shade. They'll grow really well without a whole lot of hassle. So if you've never grown herbs before, certainly would encourage you to grow herbs, and missing out if you're not growing herbs, and the amount of money that you're going to save and the smell in which they emit can bring a lot of beneficial insects if you have them outside into your garden, or just
and sometimes
repel them as well.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.